We said to you we were going to share a horror story. I'm going to share a horror story with a happy ending, because we all want a happy ending when we've been through a horror. And let's be honest, guys, if you are in property already, property can be really hard, and knowing how to do the right thing at the right time in the right order is absolutely crucial. And there's a reason on my logo behind me here, it's a jigsaw. And I've even got a jigsaw necklace. This is really important because title splitting is a jigsaw and developers are getting it wrong and it's costing them millions of pounds. So I'm going to show you a deal with multiple millions in it, right? So watch this. So my client comes to me and she and her business partner have got this amazing site. I'm not going to say where it is in the country, but it is southeast. I'm not going to give you anything more than it's southeast, okay? And this particular site has already been purchased and the refurb works have already been done for many of the units that are on the site. So by the time they find us at titlesplit.com, they are in probably a bit of a pickle, right? Because there's a lot of, I'll use that word because it's a polite word, they're in a mess, and this happens to developers all the time. And as a developer, you might be sat on a massive bridge. But here's the thing, if your plan is to sell everything and the market changes, you can end up in deep trouble. So I'm going to talk to you about this particular deal that this client brought to me. So this client has a piece of land, okay? So I've drawn a piece of land there. And this client has 7 properties on the land, right? That they've already developed out. Now these are not new build, they are conversions. All of them are conversions, okay? So the 7 properties here. They have planning for more properties on a piece of adjoining land, but let's just talk about the 7 properties. Now, by the time the developer comes to me, they've already done the deal. And they thought they were working with the right planning team, but they have been going through a lot of pain trying to get planning to do the things they need to do with each of the units. So by the time they met me, they've pretty much done the refurb, and they're in the deal for £5.73 million. That's a lot of money, £5.73 million, okay? So they're in the deal, and this is really important that you watch this. Please like and subscribe if you want to get more information on the sort of thing we're doing to help our clients, and titlesplit.com and what we're doing with title splitting. So this particular deal, let's call this one freehold. This piece of land is one freehold, okay? So they've spent 5.73 million, right? And they have gone round in circles. And I could draw it as another picture, but I'm just gonna do this. They've spoken to professionals who've given them different information. They've spoken to tax advisors who've given them the wrong information. They've spoken to planning consultants who've given them the wrong information. And all of these people are giving them contradictory information, right? So by the time they get to us, they are struggling because they are on a 5.73 million. They're on a bridging loan, okay? It's not 5.73 million, the bridge, but they are on a large bridging loan, right? For at least £2.5 million. So this is a lot of money, right? Okay. And you can imagine the interest rates we're paying on a monthly basis on that bridge. So this developer comes along and they are really stuck because they want to keep everything on here, and they either want to do service accommodation or they want to do buy-to-lets, or a mixture, okay? So they're doing this here. So what they do is they're now stuck because they are realising that their split value, their valuation to keep it all on one title is 6.5 million. So 6.5 million times by 75% is 4.87 million. The client is now going to have to leave minus 5.73. So the client is now going to be leaving £1 million in the deal, right? So it's a massive, massive, massive amount of money. So this client is not happy, okay? They're leaving hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds in this deal. They already owned the property, right? We taught them to title split this property because who wants to do a development, keep everything and leave that money in the deal? And even from a development perspective, if we do 6.5 divided by 5.73 as a percentage, that's only 13% developer profit. But that's as it is, right? So this is crazy. So what they're going to do is we are teaching them all of the things that they need to fix. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the things that went wrong on this project first. I want to talk to you about. So first of all, some of the planning permissions, they had permitted use for some of these, and then the council turned around and said they didn't, right? This can happen, right? That's one problem. They are looking at leaving between 800 and £1 million in the deal, depending on the LTV mortgage. They're facing the barrel of a bridge coming to the end. Many developers out there are in this situation where the bridge is coming to the end and they're running out of time, because projects go out of time and out of money. That is what happens in property developing, okay? So this is the sort of things that they're facing. Solicitors have given them, because people crazily believe to get this sort of deal done is you just need a solicitor. But what you actually need is a full power team of professional people who work together to make this happen. So what I did is I've got a power team of professional people that we work with our clients to make this happen. So I got my professional power team on this, and we showed the client exactly how to do this deal. So the client has now had the valuations back on this phase of the project, and we're going to title split off all of these different units onto different titles, right? So I'm doing it like that because you can see, and we're going to have 7 separate titles for this. And guess what? The RIC survey said if I go and get individual mortgages on them based on local comparable prices in the marketplace, we've now got our client £7.9 million. That is a split value uplift of 1.4 million. Now, this is really important. Some of the advice they have on this, like tax advice, some of the advice they have on this about how to do it, would have left them in a position where they could only get 6.5 million. So what we've done, that was the horror story for this client, but it's a gift that keeps on giving in terms of horror, because there's so many problems on the sites. I'm going to give you some other example of problems we've helped them fixed. They have problems with utilities on the site, okay? They have problems with getting power, electricity, power onto the site, with water supplies onto the site. All of these things are involved in a title split. And unfortunately, guys, if you do not do this correctly and do not understand the things that can go wrong on a project like this, or are working with the right consultants to really help you do these deals, you are looking at the barrel of leaving 1.4 million in. Now, I want to say something to landlords who are worried about paying tax, right? I'm going to say, if by splitting a block that you own, you could make another 1.4 million in profit, that is going to cover all the tax you ever need to pay. I think the capital uplift is huge, right? 1.4 million pounds. I want you to be doing this on your deals. It doesn't matter whether we use these strategies on a very small deal or a very large deal. We use the same things. We have a really great and amazing power team that makes this all happen, because all of the pieces of the jigsaw have to fit together correctly. So my clients got 1.4 million extra capital by working with us on their deal. Thanks for listening. Don't have any horror stories of your own. Don't risk your profit because you don't know what you're doing.